Alright, today is day 3 of not smoking. I didn't do any videos on day 2. Day 2, in my experience, I've quit smoking so many times, in my personal experience, day 2 has always been the hardest. I don't know what's going on physiologically to cause that, but it's always been the hardest. And so day 3, I'm feeling good. I feel like the hardest part is over, and I feel a clarity about the decision and a solidness about the decision. Like it's a real decision. In the past, maybe it wasn't an actual decision. Maybe it was just a hopeful gesture or something of that nature. But it definitely feels like things have really shifted, and I just wanted to come in and talk about van life. You know, I've been living van life off and on for about 4 years, and I just see so many people on YouTube, so many people on Instagram. We have this culture of image, so powerful, such a powerful focus on image in our society, and truth is quite often an afterthought. And I find in this world of van life, I don't really understand how to make sense of the disconnect of what I'm seeing online versus what I've experienced in my own life. You know, most of the people that I meet in van life are not the Instagram sprinter van people. A lot of people are there because they don't have any other choices. A lot of people are there because they're not resourced. A lot of people are there because they can't work. A lot of people are there because just the nature of who they are, they can't find their place in the world. And it's fun. I love van life. You know, there's so many things about it I love. I get to come to places like this. Like, I wouldn't be here right now if I didn't live in a van. You know, I wouldn't be here, this beautiful redwood forest, if I didn't live in a van. I just wouldn't. But there's an ungrounding sensation, a lack of ground that that is real. That is real. You know, like when the adventure is an adventure, it's exciting. But all the times in between, it feels more like I just don't belong anywhere, you know? And you see aspects of our culture, you see aspects of our civilization differently. You know, like when you try to find a place to park your van at night where someone's not going to bother you, you start noticing how many restrictions there are on places to be. You know, when you don't have a traditional home, you start noticing how many restrictions there are on how much time you can spend in a place or where you're supposed to be located, you know. And it really feels like in our culture, if you're not paying someone money for your existence, then you're a deviant or an outcast. I want to say that again. In our culture, if you're not paying someone else for your existence, then you're a deviant or an outcast. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You must pay someone to put your body wherever you want to put your body. You want to go to the park? It's going to cost money. You want to sit in a parking lot? You got to buy food from this place, otherwise you're loitering. You want to go to a cafe and use the internet? You got to buy some food. You, like, whatever you do, even if you live in a traditional house, you got to pay someone for that house. You know, I got to pay someone for this van. There's no way to be in the world if you're not truly resourced. And this is something that, you know, just to be transparent about my experience with van life, I got into this because I didn't know how to resource myself. You know, like I grew up in a world where everyone worked 40 plus hours a week, commuted 3 hours a day. You know, like 12-hour a day, every day, including commuting 5 days a week. That's what everyone did. And no one questioned it. And it was just what you did. And for the first 27 years of my life, I thought it was the only option. I didn't think there were any other ways to live. And I was very depressed because I knew that was not going to work for me. But I finally got out and started seeing the world and started seeing people living these alternative lives. And I've spent the past, 5 or 6 years exploring that, trying to figure out how to do that for myself. And van life was the most accessible way to do it. I was like, oh wow, okay, I'm gonna sell my sedan for $2,000, pick up this van off Craigslist for $1,500, put a few $100 into it, and go west. That's what I did 4 years ago, you know? And it's not a way to get around needing resources. That was a belief that I needed early on. I was like, I'm gonna save money, I'm gonna save time, I'm not gonna have to give all my time and energy away to a job just to have a place to live. It's not true. I'm sorry, it's not true. It doesn't work that way. You still have to give away your time and energy. You have to give it away to finding parking spots. You have to give it away to figuring out all the tricks. You have to give it away to putting in the time to make van life comfortable and reasonable. And that's actually a very difficult process. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy. It's like a full-time job being in a van, and then you still got to make money somehow, right? And so I'm in this place where I just go back and forth between living in the van and like renting the smallest room in a group house because that's what I can afford. And you know, the group houses are usually never very comfortable. I don't really have my own space. It's like one thing gives me some of what I need and not the rest, you know, and then the other thing gives me some of what I need and not the rest. And I just keep going back and forth, you know, between these semi-stationary lifestyles and van life. And I've just been seeing this deep truth in my own life lately of just how that's not working for me. You know, it's not working for me. I am not resourced the way I'd like to be. I am not able to provide myself with the basic comforts and nourishment that I'd like to be creating for myself. I'm just not. And so it comes back to this question of resources. You know, how are you being resourced? And this is something I'm still very much trying to figure out. You know, I don't know exactly how to do it. And I don't even know how to navigate it with my own mind because my own mind is so riddled with negative programs. So I just keep coming back to the force, keep coming back to the heart, keep coming back to that trust. And, you know, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out. And I know that quitting smoking is the first step. I know that this past year, the reason smoking has become such a big issue for me again, even though I thought I had left it behind, it resurfaced because of this question of like, how do I resource myself? Like, where do I belong? You know, how do I give myself these, what seem like basic nourishments that I need? You know, community, groundedness, shelter, healthy food, a good night's sleep. You know, how is it that I'm still trying to figure that out, you know? And that conflict within myself has led to my resurgence in smoking, my falling backwards in that way. But it wasn't even really falling backwards, right? Because it's all been part of the process. You know, I've definitely been growing and moving forward, even though I've been smoking. But I'm at a point now, you know, as the cloud is lifting, that it's just so clear that this was the driving thing. You know, my fear around being resourced, my fear around being secure, my conflicts within myself between my beliefs and my truth. You know, I couldn't handle it. It was too much, and so I just started checking out. So as the fog is clearing, all of that stuff's coming up really intensely, and I'm finding myself like really angry and really bitter and just spinning around in all these stories and resentment and, you know, victim mentality. Not a huge fan of that word, but it's a thing, you know, like I can't make any changes in my life if my mind has already decided that it's impossible. I want to say that again. I can't make any changes in my life if my mind has already decided it's impossible. So the first step for me is to clear out my mind, clear out the fog, doing this detox and this cleanse, doing a little intermittent fasting this morning, just out here with water, not trying to suppress these emotions with food or caffeine or smoking or whatever, any number of things that I use. And yeah, van life is amazing. I love living in a van. I mean, look at this. Look at this place. I would not be here if I didn't live in a van, right? I just wouldn't be here. You know? But here I am. But whether I live in a van or I live in a house, it doesn't really matter. I need to be resourced. In order to be resourced, I need to be living my truth and focusing on my mission. And in order to be living my truth and focusing on my mission, I need to be clear in my mind. So that's why I'm quitting smoking.